Ready.
Hi, welcome back to Renee Music. Hope everyone is doing well.
Yes, it's
Renee,
good.
how are you?
I'm much better. I have just gotten over whatever this seasonal flu is. And it's so funny how...
It's so quick.
Well, you know what I was thinking about this actually before we started this, is how like when you start to feel run down or sick, we tend to push through.
Right.
And this time I was like, I felt it, I was like, nope. And I literally just stopped, I stopped everything and slept for a full day, and then it was like, on the way back. So I was
That's what you need.
that's it. Yeah, so it was good. It's good. It's funny how like it feels like you come back from the dead. Like when you get really sick, you're like, I've been born again.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh, I have another chance at life. I'm so happy.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better.
So if there's any kind of like lingering congestion, that's all it is. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all good.
All right. Well, this is a little. Obviously, you're watching this. It's going to be far after when this actually happened, but we're going to talk about Taylor Swift for a minute. So
It's still
relevant.
It's still relevant.
Yeah.
It's still a thing. She
Yeah.
still did the thing. It doesn't matter. Like she's done the thing. Like
Exactly.
even 10 years from now, she's still
Right.
done the thing.
So Taylor Swift broke the record for streaming.
Like literally snapped in half.
Like literally, she broke Spotify.
Spotify shut down.
Spotify shut down.
Spotify and I
all
both shut down for a whole day.
Right, it was ridiculous. I mean, the most streams on a single day from her new album dropping. 184 million streams.
In one day.
In one day, whenever it is released.
That's like a third of the world
Yeah.
hitting play.
Right. I was like, that's crazy. So when I looked at it, so it does actually, so it's for the whole album. So you
It's
get
calculating
to, so
every
it's
song.
calculating every song, and so there were that many streams for her entire album for that one day.
Cumulative of
Yeah.
every song on her album.
Right.
So she actually, wait, let's rewind because we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
She actually released an album.
She released a full album.
Like, bam, internet, here's
Mhm.
how many songs to stream?
13.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a big album.
Well, okay, so 13 is what released at midnight. So the album is called Midnight.
Oh, they
And it
released it at
released at
midnight?
midnight.
Ah,
So,
crafty.
which was really cool. And so what ended up happening was, and you had asked about this as far as like what the marketing was like leading up to the fact
I
that
did.
she literally
I did
broke
that.
Spotify.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was Spotify and Taylor teamed up to reveal lyrics from her album on different billboards around the world.
On billboards?
Yeah, so then once it came time,
Like physical
it
billboards?
says billboards around the world. So literally, I mean,
She did
again,
not
so
go to our town with billboards.
right, I know,
Did
seriously.
you see a billboard?
Did not, I've never saw
I
it
didn't see
before.
it.
I haven't traveled enough to really know that. So they did a lot of marketing up until the point that they knew it was going to drop. So they were very strategic.
I was just in Vegas. You think I would have seen a billboard?
I would have, especially there.
Right?
But yeah, so I mean, again,
To be fair, I wasn't staring at billboards. That's the thing.
Right,
So
yeah,
like
like,
when
you
you
don't
think
even think
about
about it.
market visibility,
Yeah.
you're like who? Probably the traffic sitters.
Right.
Now that we're back to work, right?
Oh,
So
that's
she's probably
true.
banking on like the mobile
Yeah.
thing is over-ish.
and again, that's not the only place that it would be. So I mean, again, you still have all this.
I'm stuck in this
media
billboard thing.
press. I know, right? I'm like, that was an odd
Oh
thing.
my god! So I was like, zzz,
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
But so it was so everyone knew that it was coming. So there was a lot leading up to it. They gave little bits
Yeah.
of what was going to hit, and then so once it actually released, then they broke Spotify.
Then they
So-
broke
and
stuff.
then they broke Spotify. She's like, I'm so sorry.
How long did it take to
So-
break? So you figure midnight, that's midnight LA time?
Oh, imagine.
So like,
Well, no, I don't
'cause then
know,
it-
because there's another little piece to this.
Well, yeah.
So, which was very clever. So 3 hours after the original album was released, she unveiled 7 additional songs that she dubbed 3 a.m. tracks.
So she unleashes 13 songs, and then 3 hours later lets out 7.
more. So it's actually a 20-song album.
Yo!
Yeah, she's a
So
smart
she
one.
was writing during the pandemic. She was creating.
Yeah, so this album, so it was not, so the seven songs were not a part of the complete concept album, but was extra peeks into her creative process.
Oh.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
That's,
So,
you know, like, we're actually talking about doing that this afternoon, is like back the scenes stuff
Yeah.
about the creative process. Because Yeah, that's like the how of it all.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
this is her 10th album.
Go Taylor.
5 of which was in the last 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm also wondering, I didn't do enough research on it, but I'm also wondering, because she's been in this process of re-releasing all of her albums, because when she switched labels, she lost the rights to so many of them. Maybe I don't know if you remember that whole
So how could she
situation.
re-release if she doesn't have rights though?
So because she had, that's what I'm saying, she re-recorded. So she had to re-record everything that she did in order to then gain rights back to the re-release.
We have to dig into that
Yeah.
because I think in terms of re-recording, if they still own the original song, that's still a copyright.
I can't remember. I don't know all the ins and outs of that whole. It was a big process.
Sounds like it.
Um,
So maybe some of this was a re-release.
so I'm curious how much of this is actually like new content, and if any of this has been. Well, my point was, I think the 5 in the last 2 years. I think some of those 5
Fair.
were
So it's not like
some
it's
of.
all-
So it wasn't all new content.
Yeah.
So that's still 5
Although,
in 2 years.
but to be honest, I threw out 10 songs just about
Oh, you did.
in like a month.
In a very
so
short
imagine
amount
if
of
that's
time.
all I did.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Could crank out
So
some
you
music.
crank out a lot of music.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, if you've got the right team.
Right, and
of
she
people-
definitely does. I mean,
Yeah,
she's-
because it's not a singular effort.
No,
It's
I mean,
definitely-
she's done very well with it.
Yeah.
So, so what we're going to be talking about, this is kind of what
That
launched.
wasn't it.
This was what launched this whole thing. So what the unfortunate part was the lead single on the new album is Anti-Hero, and it's been getting a lot of backlash because there was a scene in the video where the girl stands on a scale and it says fat. So there's all this fat phobia about that being in it, and so she actually had to edit out that part of the video because she was getting so much backlash from it. So what I'm wanting to discuss, because I just feel like the creative process can be so thrown off when it's not translated appropriately.
Or how about we talk about the fact that like you could mean one thing and it could end up like here's another great one that I read about, like not music related but actor related. Like so I don't know if you saw Matthew Perry had out a new
I did, yeah, a memoir.
and he
Yeah,
references, he's was an addict, and he
Mhm.
references some of those that we've lost to addiction.
Right.
And he was referencing Phoenix.
River Phoenix.
River Phoenix, and said, Keanu still walks among us, but we lost River Phoenix. Which, in all the things that I read about it, Matthew Perry was saying, I was just making we lost one and one lives. He's like,
Right.
I don't think Matthew was trying to say he doesn't like Keanu Reeves, but fans of Keanu took to the
Oh,
internet.
they did. I know. I saw that.
And came guns blazing, like, what do you mean so he walks among us? Like, and so, here's Matthew Perry having, like, it's published.
Yeah.
Like, you
Oh,
can,
you can
like,
get-
she went back and re-edited it's published. Like, Keanu Reeves walks among us. And I thought, I had that moment where I read it where I was like, wow, like, the dynamics that editors had to have read through that. Like,
Yeah.
the dynamics that so when they created that, Taylor didn't sit down and goes, let's throw fat, and everybody just didn't even think about it. Like,
No, because there's a story behind it.
I was about to say there had to be a reason it said fat. Like, so fill me in.
So it's talking about her struggle with an eating disorder. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
It relates
there's a
specifically to
whole documentary about it. Like this was because as a songwriter you're pulling from
personal space.
your personal space.
Yeah.
This was her personal space. But it's like because people are reacting to it, she's now having to change what was the story that she was telling.
So did people react because I think part of the problem is we're losing context in our culture. I think we're losing because we're a 30-second
Right.
culture. We just talked about that.
Yeah,
Nobody's watching a video more than 15 seconds.
No.
Too much. Can't even
Right,
To
exactly.
be fair, I can't even read a full email that's got 3 paragraphs. It's too many paragraphs. It's too much. So I really think we've created this.
Yeah, no, we have.
And in that, so maybe we have to rethink, though it's part of our story, we have to look at our story, the way that an audience is going to hear it or see it, you know.
Mm.
Kind of like if you went to another country, you would want to learn how to not offend that country.
Well, right,
You know
well,
what I'm saying?
exactly,
Like, you have
yeah.
to think about it like, well, okay, so if someone just takes a piece of this out, how does that, and that's a lot of extra work, right? Like, so, you know, when you think of Matthew Perry and his biography, if someone just takes a piece of his biography out without it being in context, right? Like, and I haven't read it, so I don't know, maybe he was being a jerk, but it sounds like it was just, he's discussing the actors that we lost.
Right.
And the actors that have it, they lived.
Yeah.
You know, and I read one thing where he said I should have put my name in there. Like it just, so-and-so's gone, but I'm still living. Like in this case, should she have thought, like, was there a way maybe she could have done that where the fat on the scale wasn't perceived negative? I don't even know if there's.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've not listened to the song to know any more than what
Or
I'm
did you see the
getting.
video? I feel like we got it put all.
I mean,
put all the links
right,
below,
yes,
so that you
definitely
could
put the link
like
in
watch
there.
the video, watch the but
Yeah. So what ended up happening is basically the scene in the music video. Props to them for having the video out already. Like
They did a lot.
They did a
No, there's a
lot.
front end
There's
work.
a lot of work. So the scene shoots to the girl who gets on the scale, and instead of it being numbers, it just says fact. And so basically they just took out that scene where she was on the scale, and it was just a face of disappointment. Which was still conveying the message that there was still
But it was a
this
name calling.
right, so
We're-
this internal struggle that she was
We're
facing.
sensitive to name calling.
Right.
Because here's, well, okay, then like conversely, if you think about it, if that girl's weight, if you're watching this and that girl's weight is even less than yours, and then you somehow feel away, like,
Right.
we're a very sensitive culture now.
Yeah, no, that's true.
We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, offend anybody. It's a very sensitive time. So
Yeah.
very interesting that how this is playing out in the music industry. You know, that kind of
Yeah.
that cancel culture.
Well, that's kind of what, and that's why I was like, I found it to be very interesting, and you know that they would be going so harshly after her. When I'm like, did you look at all of the story? Did you look at anything? The fact that there's a documentary that came out in 2020
about her and
about
her,
this whole thing. You know, about the struggles that she's had in the past, which is a very real issue. You know, and so I guess my question to you is, are you concerned at all about backlash from something that you write?
I genuinely wrote it about a life experience that is now. You know what though? To be fair, like I've experienced this, and now I'm asking global audience because since I've been in the United States, you know, I've experienced a lot of sensitivities where I'm telling a personal story, and my personal story involves sensitive elements for other people, and that I've been attacked in the process of telling the story.
Right.
They're getting offended.
Yeah.
So it's like I think this idea of offense. I think we have been progressing towards a very sensitive culture, which has led to easily offend. And I would say that like as an artist, I tend to. So when you think about explaining why you wrote a song or anything like that, if it trends to that space, you kind of speak more generally rather than specifically, even though it's your own story. It's like your own story isn't even credible anymore because it could be offensive. So hearing that makes me feel even more, you know, aware of the need to be sensitive to that kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's like you still want to be able to tell a story.
Genuine, right? Like, so at what
You
point
know.
do we draw the line where we're changing reality? But I guess it wasn't changed. They just couched it differently, right? Like we took out verbiage and
Right. So I mean, I guess.
made it more expressive.
Right. So I guess just the way in that is just, you know, like you can still share your story, but maybe kind of just tweaking the way that you're expressing it.
We're gonna have to.
So,
I mean, we're gonna have
like
to.
that's kind of
Like,
really not
there was a
stressful.
conversation just the other day about like the Jeffersons or the like these shows that existed that would never get airtime now. Never. I think even Will and Grace wouldn't get airtime now with the stuff they did.
Oh no! I mean, I feel like everything has been that way. Like there is so
shows
many,
shows that we grew up with would never catch airtime now because they would get hit.
which is so bizarre to me because it was such an iconic thing at the time that helped so many people go through their process of life, and now it's like everyone's going to take offense to it. So
Is it that culturally we weren't? Is it that back then we were just a little more there was a little more relaxed about it? Like we're just, or was there this like current of people that were really offended and we just weren't aware of it? And now because of internet, everything is all surface, and so like really there's a lot of offense back then. Where I think for me, like my perspective, I just kind of took it like that's what they're doing. Like it's just like that, like I kind of don't judge somebody for having a particular opinion or like I just don't like to judge. So yeah, I don't think I thought that hard about it. And I don't think I would, so I would not be the good person to edit. I'm not gonna think that hard about it.
Well, I mean, and literally with like, I think in the time that they released that album, 3 videos were already ready to go out. So I mean, that was I didn't even realize that artists were making that many music videos for their albums.
I didn't know that we were coming out of our caves that long ago to do any of this stuff either. But I think, honestly, I think that's why you do need a team, because you live it. Each person lives in their worldview. Like, so here's and what I'm capable of absorbing and consuming in days like this, right?
Right.
And my worldview may not. It's not always easy for me to literally transplant myself into someone else's world. In fact, not only is it not easy, it's almost impossible to truly know what someone else is feeling. Which is why I've said to you, like, success, it requires a team, because you're going to need to have these other people that think from other spaces that can kind of collectively come together and create something that isn't offensive and is considerate and compassionate and caring. And not that the individual, like, I don't think Taylor ever, like, I don't necessarily think those people wanted to be insensitive. It's just, they're operating from this, like, and this. So, like, that's why, like, I love to surround myself with different people with different ideas and from different places, because they make me think about things differently.
Right.
I don't wake up thinking that way because this is my world. Like, I can, we can only experience so much. And so for Taylor, like, I could see that, like, for example, a lot of my music doesn't come from a struggle. I kind of try to stay in shape, but I don't know.
Right.
Thank you, Jesus. I never struggled with, like, food. I have no. I became intolerant to the foods that make you fat, so.
Fair.
I couldn't consume them, so gaining weight, like, almost became impossible as I struggled to find anything I could eat. So that wasn't my hurdle, but, like, my hurdle was, people dying. And, like, so it's like, I lost my mom at 17, so people, your mom jokes, like, all these things, like, so here's my world, right? My mom died. And then here's these other people's worlds who have complete perfect nuclear families cracking your mom jokes. And it's like, could I take an offense? 100%. But did they know my mom died? No, maybe not.
No,
and if they did, who's thinking about that all the time?
Right.
That was my circle. That wasn't their circle. So what is, there's 2 ways you respond to that, right? The one is get upset. Oh, thanks, my mom died. Like, you get upset. And the other one is to just look at it and be like, okay. And then if it really was something like, hey guys, so can we cool your mom jokes? Because remember my mom died. They'd be like, immediately.
Right.
I just don't think that the world is trying to offend. And I think social media is really trying to make us believe we're all trying to offend. And I just don't think that we are. Like, I think, and music's such a perfect example of, like, it's a healing space. So, like, for her to do that, like, it's her trying to connect with people that identify with that word on the scale, right? Like, they know what that's like. And people that struggle with that thing, you can be skinnier than me and the scale's still telling me that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you don't live in that circle, to know that I only studied it, that's the only reason I know, is to know that, like, you can literally be stick thin and think you're 300 pounds.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's not even, you don't even have to have weight in order to still see that word
on the scale.
On that scale.
And in the mirror.
And that was her whole point.
Her story. I know. And so then it's like, when do we just crush people's stories?
Right. And so, like,
and not
she's
give
just
them an
trying to
opportunity.
So it's like, understand, I was not putting this out there as being that.
We fully went into some spaces today.
We sure did.
Going into some spaces. Yeah. I don't know. And I think that's the other thing too, is that, like, you, in the end, and I say this all the time, who you are will supersede any of those moments. Like, people are going to constantly try to push you into these spaces. Like, you're this, or, like, someone could listen to my lyrics and decide I'm whatever. But that moment of what they think I am can't touch a lifetime of who I have established myself to be. You know, and so Taylor's never come off as though she's, you know, a criticizing.
No.
So the kudos to them for listening to the sensitivity and adjusting. Like
Right.
kudos to them, but I don't see why. Like you've got to be looking for offense. In my humble,
Right.
humble.
Well, I mean, the song is called Anti-Hero.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing there. So anyway,
And
so.
there's so much music I've heard, and I'm like, wow, you could take that into some spaces.
Yeah,
And, you know,
so we're just being a little bit more
conscientious.
Yeah, aware of what we're saying. So.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a culture that's requiring us to be considerate of others. I think
Yeah.
that's a great space to be in.
No,
I think it
absolutely.
just trends difficult when we're encouraging a culture to find find offense. Let's not look for offense,
Mhm.
but let's make effort to be sensitive. Yeah, I think is that the lesson today?
That was the lesson today. There we go. So we brought Taylor into all that. So
Thank you, Taylor, for
Swift.
this conversation.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the album.
You. The
So,
album.
are you
And
ready?
the music.
All right. So I don't know why this was even a thing, but you know, that's why it's Fun Fact Friday. So in March of 2010, I don't know why you would want to break the record for the number of triangles that can be in
All
that can be in a
I
concert.
think is Will Ferrell with the, we need more cowbell.
Well, we did it with triangles this time. So the largest number of triangles in a concert was in March of 2010, 1,583.
Were they different sizes? and
Broke the
sounds?
world records. Yeah.
1,500?
Yep, 1,500 triangles.
Where was this and how ear-piercing?
I think it was in Tokyo.
Can we Google it?
Right, we'll find
Drop
out.
a link.
We'll drop a link. Is that not insane?
That's
That's a lot of noise.
clashy noise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But it
we gotta find that YouTube.
broke the world record, so there you go.
Go for that. Go Tokyo. Leave it to Tokyo.
Right, come on. So, alright, there you go.
Well, thanks for
Thanks,
joining
guys.
us. Lots of food for thought.
That's right. We'll see you
Have
next
a
week.
good one.